Hello and welcome to the Focusing Way podcast. I'm your host, David Battistella. If you understand focusing, and if you've even done a bit of focusing yourself by now, you probably have realized that when you enter a focusing space within a focusing session, you eventually confront some tough situations. It's certainly been true for me. I've keenly centered my focusing around many life situations, relationships, things I wanted to resolve, and the answers and feelings around life's biggest questions. That is all fun and good and healthy. It's a journey I would encourage anyone to go on. The journey inside, the path towards self-exploration can be daunting, but it can also be very rewarding. Focusing has a special power as an adjunct to therapy and as a practice to assist with grief, deep trauma, depression, addiction, and the difficulties life throws our way. As I've explored the focusing world, I've come across all of these things and focused with many of them. It feels to me like focusing is at a moment. And I'm not going to pinpoint an event or a circumstance. I'm just going to say that focusing has evolved, it's morphed, and changed as it should and will. The moment I'm talking about is more just about this sense that I have. But it feels like it could be a time when focusing opens up to the world more than it has. That it becomes a bit more widely known and is, well, for lack of a better term, mainstreamed. Well, this is what I want for focusing. I want focusing to be mainstream. I want it to be taught as a life skill in schools, in the workplace, from an early age. I want more people to be talking about it. I want more people to be learning it, and I want people to teach it to others so that they can engage in the types of wonderful experiences and egalitarian partnerships that focusing can create. Why? Well, the reason is quite simple. You see, if I was Frederick Banting and I had invented insulin, I would have done exactly what he did. I'd give it to the world because it's such a service he was giving. And focusing is that kind of gift. With a few simple techniques and tools, people can be more tuned in, much more attentive, and able to connect deeply within themselves, understand other people, and look for the answers they want and have a sense of rightness from inside. I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about specialized people. I'm not talking about trained people. I'm not talking about certified people. I'm talking about ordinary people who gather, nurture, and evolve their focusing skills over time. The other thing I'd love to see is a big shift to using focusing not only to get out of a jam or the misfortunes we come across, but to use it as a way to have and to make everyday encounters better. I want people to use focusing to make their lives better. Now, I know many of you might be saying, well, that isn't focusing. That's something else. That's mindfulness, it's attentiveness, it's awareness, but focusing is all of that and more. And in many ways, it's more than all of those things combined. So I know anyone listening to this has at some point come out of a focusing session with a major shift, an amazing feeling of change, a good feeling. That's what we want, right? Isn't that where we want to bring focusing? Not just to heal our patients, but to heal people and help them heal their deepest wounds, but to give them also the skills to do it. Isn't that where we want to bring focusing? Not just to heal our deepest wounds within a therapy session, but all of the surface cuts along the way in real life. So it's with that idea that I'm asking all of you to share with me some really positive stories about focusing, which I can share on the podcast. I want people to get excited about the real change all of you have seen and experienced. You can write me an email and I will read it on the podcast, and you can do that anonymously if you want, or I'll attribute it to you. But I have a small request of all of you listening right now. Use me. Help me get the greatest focusing stories out there through this podcast. I want to invite you to share with me all your best successes. No story is too old. No story is too boring, too fantastical, or too bold. I really feel we have to share this in a big way. And I'm asking you the question, are you up to it? You've been listening to The Focusing Way podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher. I'm your host, David Battistella. Please visit our website at thefocusingway.com.